Hi, I'm Jim Cummins. I'm a retired ecologist. I worked for the Interstate Commission on the Potomac River Basin for 26 years. I know a lot about the Potomac, so I'm here to tell you a little bit about the Potomac, and in particular the center part of Potomac, Jefferson County. I'll start with I have a map on the screen. This is a map of the Potomac watershed. Here it is superimposed over the states. It's 14,640 square miles. There's about 650 million people that live in the watershed. Most of them live around the Washington area. And we are where the star is, near a little town of Bakerton, and that's about halfway between Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, and Shepherdstown, West Virginia. The Potomac is a very ancient river. It's about 1 billion years old. It's one of the oldest rivers in the world. When the Appalachians were forming, it was forming. As it ran off the forming Appalachians. The Appalachians are similarly very ancient. So here's the Potomac watershed. It's composed of 5 physiographic provinces, and that's basically the kind of geology and topography. Starting with the Appalachian plateau, which is kind of flat in the far western part. Again, this is east, this is west. Then the Valley and Ridge province, which the Great Valley that we're in right now is part of, but most of the Ridge and Valley are very narrow valleys. The Great Valley is about 25 miles wide in this location. And then the Blue Ridge province, and then the Piedmont province, and then you get down to the coastal plain area, and you see DC sort of right at the edge of where the Piedmont and the coastal plains start. The land use in the Potomac, as you see, it pretty much reflects the physiographic provinces. You got forest and some small farmland here, a large amount of farmland. The yellow is farmland, the green are trees, and then urban areas right around Washington, D.C., the red and pink are urban areas, and the coastal floodplain is more forested than a lot of the other areas too. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the precipitation, where the water comes to make the rivers and streams. So it's kind of interesting. This graph here is showing monthly average rainfalls, and basically it's about there. Each one, you see it's pretty even going across, which is very unusual. Not that many rivers have an even amount of rainfall, and it's about 3 1/3 inches of rain per month on average. But what's interesting, this is a graph of the flow of the river, and you see that in the wintertime, January through May, it's really high, and then it gets low in the summer and goes up, even though the precipitation is all the same. Why would that be? Well, it's because of the transpiration of trees. Transpiration is the way that trees use leaves to pump water. Leaves evaporate water, and that causes a pumping action, which brings the groundwater and all of its nutrients up into the highest points on the trees. So what happens is, you see, this is when the leaves come out, the flow goes down, and then in the fall, when the leaves start falling off, the flow goes back up again. Because unbelievably, the transpiration of trees use about 2/3 of the rain that falls on the basin. So this is a comparison slide. This is a western river, the Colorado River, and this is its average monthly rainfall. And you see this is April, May, and June. There's hardly any rain, but April, May, and June is when there's a huge amount of flow. That's because out west there's a lot of snow cover. So when a lot of the precipitation comes, and then it stays in the mountains as snow, and then it melts in the spring. So that's how variable flows are in the different rivers. That's why the Potomac's very unusual to have that even amount of rainfall and that flow. So another place on the larger map that's got a area like that is Luray, Virginia, the Luray caverns, because that's what's happening. A lot of this water, what's happening to our water is that it goes into the ground very quickly. This is a slide that was taken an aerial during snowfall. This is a little bit of the Shenandoah. This is a roadway with telephone poles, but the dark area, that's the thing that was nice about this event, was it captured the cracks. You can see the cracks in the limestone make the stream, and the water actually runs not towards the Shenandoah, but towards a sinkhole right over here, and then it probably eventually goes to the Shenandoah somewhere. But our drainage patterns in limestone areas like Jefferson County are very different than the typical drainage patterns. Okay, what is limestone? Limestone is a kind of a rock. It's a sedimentary rock. It's made out of tiny marine organisms, the skeletons of basically microscopic organisms that settled after they died. Their skeletons, or calcium carbonate skeletons, settled to the ocean floor, and then eventually, silty, and then it became denser and denser, and eventually became rock. So you find it in layers where it's located in a natural environment. What's limestone used for? Well, one of the kinds of limestone is marble. So the Jefferson Memorial and the Taj Mahal are made out of limestone, marble limestone. But other things, it's a building material, gravel, general rocks that are, a lot of Washington D.C. is made out of limestone. Also, concrete, mortar. It's in cereals. It's added to cereals to make it better. It's in paint to make the paint flow more smoothly. It's on shiny paper. It's used to coat it to make it shinier. And it's in medicines. So it has a lot of uses. Now, I talked about the Great Valley. We're, again, located right where that star is. But the Great Valley is a limestone valley that runs from Canada all the way to Alabama. It's made up of these sort of smaller watersheds, but like the Shenandoah and the Cumberland that go into the Potomac. It's an interesting story because this is a long piece of limestone. Maryland Geologic Survey estimated that the limestone in the Maryland portions of that is up to 6 miles deep. That's going down to that's very deep. We don't even drill that deep. So the limestone is very thick, and this edge going on here is interesting. It's an interesting story of how it was made.